Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about the issue unfolding on CBS's The Bold and the Beautiful, specifically the complex series of events that have led Carter to regret his hostile takeover of Forrester Creations, Brooke's persuasive role in steering him back toward the path of integrity, and Ridge's consequential choice to reunite with Brooke at the expense of Taylor's feelings. This dramatic turn of affairs not only has significant implications for the company's leadership, but also rekindles deep emotional conflicts that have long characterized the Forrester family and their closest relationships. In what follows, we will explore every key element of this storyline. We will do so at length, focusing on the main points, charting the emotional turmoil that unfolds for Carter, Brooke, Ridge, Taylor, and Steffi, all while maintaining continuity and a thorough examination of the characters' motivations and the repercussions of their actions. Carter Walton's arrival in Los Angeles, some years ago, now forms the backdrop for understanding why his more recent betrayal weighed so heavily on him once he realized the harm it caused. When Carter first set foot in LA, he was new to the complexities of the Forrester, Logan, and Spencer families, yet he quickly demonstrated that he was an astute and diligent legal mind who could handle the labyrinth of contracts, intellectual property concerns, and all manner of negotiations essential to running a major fashion house like Forrester Creations. Eric Forrester and Ridge Forrester recognized Carter's potential early on, extending him not only a professional opportunity but also, in many respects, welcoming him into a close-knit world that merges family ties with business commitments. In those initial days, Carter could hardly believe his good fortune. He had landed in a prestigious environment, working with design legends and forging bonds with the people who built the Forrester legacy. Throughout his early tenure, Carter gained Eric's trust by showcasing an unwavering sense of responsibility. He was diligent and consistently professional, devoting himself to tasks large and small. Ridge, meanwhile, appreciated Carter's steady hand and thoughtful perspectives on corporate legal issues. The Forresters often talk about loyalty and family values, concepts that ring powerfully in their world, where personal and professional lines frequently blur. Carter embraced those values, seeing them not merely as business guidelines, but as a foundational ethic that shaped his sense of belonging. Over time, Carter rose to more prominent positions within Forrester Creations, reflecting Eric and Ridge's faith in him. The company thrived, launching new collections and staging impressive runway shows that drew international acclaim. Carter's influence expanded, his role in major decisions grew. It was a gratifying rise, one that constantly reminded him how generously Eric and Ridge had welcomed him. But in the world of the bold and the beautiful, hearts often override business rationality. Enter Hope Logan, a key member of the Logan family, who worked closely with Forrester Creations through her various design lines. Hope is known for her strong moral compass, but she is also a woman of ambition, creative passion, and charismatic energy. Over a period of time, Carter found himself increasingly drawn to her. Their interactions went from purely professional to quietly flirtatious, ultimately blooming into something more intense. Even though Carter had for so long been a paragon of reliability, something about Hope's spirit enraptured him. Before long, he became willing to consider drastic measures if it meant fulfilling her dreams as well as his own. Hope had big ideas for Forrester Creations. She envisioned global expansions, new brand directions, and bolder fashion statements. While Eric and Ridge maintained a steadier, more traditional approach, Hope seemed determined to push boundaries, and Carter became intoxicated by the notion of playing a key role in turning her aspirations into reality. Perhaps spurred on by this allure, or by the heady promise of power, Carter eventually took the unthinkable step of orchestrating a takeover of Forrester Creations. In an unexpected series of maneuvers, he undermined Eric's and Ridge's leadership positions and claimed ownership for himself. The details of precisely how he managed this, whether through manipulated contracts, boardroom politics, or legal loopholes, played out to the shock of everyone who had once trusted him implicitly. Word spread quickly among employees that Carter had turned on his mentors. Such betrayal, especially in a family-run business, struck a dissonant chord, generating resentment, disbelief, and heartbreak. Carter, for a time, seemed unapologetic. The excitement of controlling Forrester Creations alongside hope overshadowed any pangs of guilt he might have felt. Together, they planned to thrust Forrester Creations into an even grander global spotlight, with new lines, new marketing strategies, and a bravado that had not been seen before. Yet even as Carter reveled in his newfound power, doubts gnawed at him. The memory of Eric's mentorship and Ridge's camaraderie lingered in his mind. How could he reconcile the warmth and loyalty they had shown him with the cold betrayal he had orchestrated? He tried to justify his actions by claiming that the fashion house needed fresh leadership, a bold approach, or an infusion of new visions. But beneath it all, Carter knew that he had crossed a moral line that felt irreconcilable. Over time, guilt began to accumulate, invading his thoughts in quiet moments. Hope, driven by her ambitions for the company's future, may not have seen the depth of Carter's internal conflict at first. Or if she did, she believed he would adjust once he fully reaped the benefits of leadership. That guilt might have remained locked inside Carter had it not been for Brooke Logan. Brooke is many things within the Forrester universe. She is a mother to Hope, she is Ridge's longtime love, a bond so powerful that it has shaped major storylines for decades, and she has been intimately involved in the company's growth over the years. She is also known for her relentless determination. Having weathered countless personal and professional crises, Brooke stands as a formidable figure, especially when it involves protecting her family, promoting truth, or seeking justice. At some point, Brooke approached Carter to remind him of everything Eric and Ridge had done for him, painting a vivid picture of those early days in Los Angeles when Carter was a relative unknown, an outsider, and how Eric and Ridge had been the ones to open the door of opportunity. Brooke appealed not just to Carter's memories, but to his moral center. She framed the matter simply: in betraying Eric and Ridge, Carter had not only turned on his mentors, he had also undercut the very foundation of loyalty on which Forrester Creations rests. Her plea struck deep. Carter realized that all his justifications paled in comparison to the sense of personal betrayal. How could he claim any moral high ground if he was willing to sell out the people who had believed in him first, simply to please Hope or to indulge in his own quest for power? Carter found himself replaying scenes of Eric's generosity and Ridge's consistent support. The memories of casual conversations about the brand's direction, personal mentorship sessions, and countless shared moments around the office began to weigh heavily on him. That warm sense of belonging that Carter had once cherished now felt tainted by the knowledge that he was the cause of Eric's and Ridge's displacement. Brooke's words resonated more each day until Carter could no longer ignore the truth: he had made a serious mistake, and no future success at Forrester Creations could compensate for the moral price he had paid. In a move that caught many by surprise, Carter chose to rectify his betrayal. He reached out to Ridge, communicating his remorse. Whereas once Carter had been confident and even boastful in his takeover, now he expressed deep regret and apologized for having turned his back on the very people who had championed him. Ridge, for his part, was astonished by this reversal. He had borne intense frustration at Carter for a long time, feeling personally wronged that someone he counted as a close ally would usurp the company. Yet as he listened to Carter's apology, Ridge could not help but remember the bond they once shared. Carter was visibly repentant. The impetus behind his about-face, as Ridge soon learned, was Brooke's intervention. Brooke had reminded Carter of his moral obligations. Touched by Carter's earnestness, Ridge decided not to hold an unyielding grudge, understanding that sometimes the weight of guilt can drive a person back to the right path. Accepting Carter's offer, Ridge set in motion the process to reclaim his rightful leadership over Forrester Creations. For Carter, returning the company to Ridge was the ultimate step toward redemption. He recognized that certain consequences were inevitable: Hope, for one, would be devastated by this abrupt change in direction. She had committed herself to their joint vision for Forrester Creations' future, only to have Carter now discard the entire plan to hand the reins back to Ridge. Carter, though, felt that the moral imperative outweighed any short-term loss or heartbreak, and he hoped that Hope might eventually see why this decision was necessary. After all, how could either of them build something truly lasting if it was founded on betrayal? This seismic shift in control also shaped the dynamic between Ridge and Brooke. In the aftermath, Ridge sought out Brooke to express not only his thanks but also a long overdue apology. He recognized that Brooke had shouldered many accusations and criticisms, both from him and from others, over the years. She has often been placed in the crossfire of Forrester disputes, especially when it came to romantic entanglements and conflicting allegiances. This time, however, Brooke's moral clarity had helped restore order to Forrester Creations. Ridge thanked her for influencing Carter's conscience and helping to undo the damage. There was more in his heart to convey, too, especially regarding earlier assumptions he had made about Brooke's motives. He had sometimes suspected her of meddling or trying to manipulate the company's direction, but now he had to admit that if Brooke had not intervened, Carter might never have returned Forrester Creations, and the entire family legacy could have been irrevocably scarred. During this pivotal conversation, Brooke took the opportunity to speak openly with Ridge about her lingering feelings. Their love story spans decades, full of marriages, divorces, reconciliations, heartbreak, and, most notably, an unbreakable thread of emotional connection. No matter how many times Ridge tried to move on, or how many conflicts erupted in their respective relationships, there was always an undeniable pull between them. Brooke admitted that she still loves him profoundly and that she yearns for a renewed partnership with him. Such honesty, delivered at a moment when Ridge felt gratitude toward her, triggered intense introspection in Ridge. He has been involved with Taylor Hayes, seeking stability and a fresh start, yet he could not escape the truth that his love for Brooke has proven inescapably deep and recurring. In so many previous storylines, viewers have witnessed Ridge ping-ponging between Brooke and Taylor. This time, the emotional impetus was crystal clear. He was faced with a woman he has loved for most of his adult life, a woman who, despite all obstacles, had supported him and aided him in regaining control of his family's company. Conflicted as he was, Ridge could not ignore the powerful emotions that surfaced during this honest moment with Brooke. As he listened to her speak of her love for him, he felt something he had suppressed come roaring back to the surface. Had he truly moved on from Brooke, or was his relationship with Taylor a product of searching for an alternative to the tumult he often associates with Brooke? The question consumed him. Ultimately, Ridge realized that, despite his sincere admiration and caring for Taylor, he could not deny the profound bond he shares with Brooke. Far from wanting to hurt Taylor, he simply recognized that the love he felt for Brooke outweighed the affection he felt for anyone else. This recognition, painful as it might be, spelled a major turning point. Ridge's decision was to follow his heart and return to Brooke. He arranged a meeting with Taylor to explain that, although he genuinely respects and appreciates her, his feelings for Brooke are too strong to set aside. Taylor, who has a long history with Ridge in her own right, was stunned and heartbroken. She has endured numerous ups and downs with Ridge, triumphs, breakups, reunions, and abrupt reversals of fortune. Each time she believed their love might have found its moment to flourish, something inevitably brought Ridge back to Brooke. This recurring pattern weighed heavily on Taylor's spirit. Hearing Ridge once again declare he must leave her to be with Brooke was crushing, reawakening old wounds and sorrow that she had thought were finally behind her. Overwhelmed by sadness and exhaustion, Taylor admitted that she could not keep repeating the cycle of heartbreak. She had been left behind too many times, and while she tried to hold on to hope each time that her relationship with Ridge might take root, reality consistently shattered that expectation. Now, faced with the finality of his choice, Taylor saw no reason to remain in Los Angeles, a city brimming with memories of heartbreak, broken promises, and complicated family dynamics. She made up her mind to leave LA in search of a new beginning. The notion of starting fresh in another city brought her a sliver of solace. Maybe she could rebuild her life in a place where Ridge's lingering shadow did not follow her every step. She recognized that continuing to live in proximity to Brooke and Ridge would only reinforce her pain. Meanwhile, Steffi Forrester, Taylor's daughter with Ridge, was outraged by her father's decision to abandon her mother yet again. Steffi has always been protective of Taylor, who devoted her life to caring for her children and saving lives as a psychiatrist. Time and time again, Steffi has seen Taylor's heart broken whenever Ridge decided to return to Brooke. Steffi, fierce and bold, has never hesitated to voice her disapproval. She was too well aware of how many times Ridge's waffling had left her mother in tears. Watching the situation unfold again, seeing Taylor prepare to leave LA because of heartbreak, was too much for Steffi to accept. Anger coursed through her as she confronted Ridge. She demanded to know why he felt compelled to keep hurting Taylor when she had done nothing but love him and stand by him in moments of crisis. Ridge tried to soothe his daughter, but his explanations were overshadowed by the stark reality that he was rejecting Taylor in favor of Brooke. Steffi, incensed, declared that she would never forgive Ridge for discarding her mother and choosing Brooke yet another time. She had long tried to maintain a measure of understanding for her father's complicated emotional ties, but enough was enough. This time, she promised to distance herself from him, furious that her mother once again bore the brunt of his vacillations. Whether that vow would hold firm over time remains uncertain, but for now, the divide in the Forrester family is undeniable. Steffi's condemnation underscores the cyclical nature of Ridge's love life and the toll it takes on those around him. In the immediate aftermath, the stage is set for a deep rift in father-daughter relations, which could reverberate through Forrester creations and the entire family dynamic. In the midst of these developments, Carter's conscience might be somewhat clearer, having returned Forrester creations to its rightful owners, yet he must grapple with the fallout from Hope, who likely feels betrayed by his abrupt reversal. Brooke has found renewed hope in her relationship with Ridge, a relationship that many fans of the show continue to follow with intense interest. Ridge himself must face the knowledge that, while his heart pulls him toward Brooke, his decision has effectively driven Taylor away. Taylor's heartbreak serves as a grim reminder that, in a family as tightly knit as the Forresters, personal choices can come with wide-ranging consequences. Her departure from Los Angeles might free her from the immediate pain, but it also severs a connection that once stood as part of the Forrester family's foundation. Throughout The Bold and the Beautiful, the ties between love and loyalty remain thematic mainstays. In this particular storyline, Carter's initial betrayal and subsequent redemption illustrate how easily ambition or desire can corrode even the strongest of bonds, while also showing that remorse and a willingness to rectify wrongdoings can mend them. However, the romantic dimension involving Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor reveals a deeper truth: healing one relationship often inflicts pain on another. Ridge's return to Brooke undeniably reaffirms one of the show's signature romances, but the cost of that decision is measured in Taylor's tears and Steffi's outrage. More than just a love triangle, it is a testament to how deeply intertwined these characters are, and how every choice creates ripple effects that shape the entire family. For viewers, the heartbreak that Taylor endures is particularly poignant given the lengthy history of her on-again, off-again dynamic with Ridge. She has been a pillar of emotional stability and care, yet time and again she has found that Ridge's bond with Brooke outstrips what he shares with her. One might question why Taylor would allow herself to be vulnerable to this pattern repeatedly, but in the soap opera universe, love and hope often overpower rational caution. Now, with her choice to leave LA, Taylor seeks a chance to heal and focus on her own emotional well-being, rather than remain in a place filled with painful reminders. Steffi's vow of never forgiving Ridge intensifies the emotional gravity of his choice. she and her brother, Thomas, have witnessed the cyclical heartbreak their parents undergo whenever Ridge vacillates between Brooke and Taylor. Steffi, having inherited a strong will and sense of family loyalty, feels protective of her mother's emotional state. Her declaration could have future consequences for the family business, as well as day-to-day family interactions, given that tensions between Ridge and Steffi might hamper collaborative efforts at Forrester Creations. Additionally, it raises the question of whether others in the Forrester clan, like Eric, who has his own complicated history with marriages, will step in to mediate or side with one party over another. Typically, Eric tries to maintain harmony, but even he might struggle to reconcile Steffi's anger with Ridge's pursuit of personal happiness. Amid all of this, Brooke's role evolves from being the source of impetus to correct Carter's wrongdoing into the renewed partner by Ridge's side. She holds a special place in the Forrester household, having been married to Ridge multiple times. If she succeeds in maintaining that emotional connection, it might bring a semblance of relief for her own heart, which has yearned for Ridge for so long. But the question remains, will the guilt of seeing Taylor cast aside again haunt Brooke or challenge the stability of her relationship with Ridge? Historically, Brooke has shown remorse or at least acknowledgement of Taylor's pain, but that empathy has not always been enough to forestall conflict. Such a high-profile reunion is sure to trigger controversy, especially given how many times they have tried and failed to make their marriage last. Still, for now, the show highlights that their passion reignites, overshadowing any immediate regrets about the heartbreak inflicted on Taylor. On the business side, Forrester Creations stands on the threshold of returning to its old leadership structure, with Ridge stepping back into the helm. Carter, repentant, will presumably revert to his role as legal counsel or COO, a more comfortable, albeit subordinate, position that aligns with his skill set and moral compass. Brooke may again play a significant part in the company's brand vision, something that she has done from time to time, especially if Ridge seeks to incorporate her insights. The employees of Forrester Creations might breathe easier knowing that the family's long-standing leadership is restored, though they will certainly have questions about Carter's trustworthiness going forward. Meanwhile, Hope, disillusioned by Carter's decision, might channel her energies into forging new initiatives on her own, or perhaps she will try to partner with someone else within Forrester Creations who shares her ambitious mindset. For the dedicated audience of The Bold and the Beautiful, these events emphasize the show's central themes: love, betrayal, redemption, and the emotional toll of entangled family loyalties. Carter's regret underscores the idea that success gained through treachery inevitably feels hollow. Brooke's influence demonstrates that sincerity and loyalty to one's moral core can sway even those who have wandered far from their ethical center. Ridge's choice to leave Taylor for Brooke, while heartbreakingly familiar, renews the ever-present question of whether this time he and Brooke can achieve lasting happiness, or if more complications lie around the corner. And Taylor's departure not only invests the storyline with a sense of tragic poignancy, but also leaves open the possibility that she might return in the future, potentially stronger, and perhaps accompanied by new allies or a fresh outlook. One cannot ignore Steffi's vow of unending anger. A fierce character in her own right, Steffi's capacity to forgive or hold grudges can dramatically shape narratives, especially if she decides to punish Ridge in business settings or family gatherings. This vow suggests that the storyline will continue to evolve. Although she may not stand in the way of Ridge and Brooke's reunion, she could use her influence at Forrester Creations to sideline her father or push for decisions that reflect her frustration. Alternatively, she may take a more personal path of estrangement, deciding to limit her contact with Ridge and thereby fracturing an important father-daughter relationship that once mattered greatly to both of them. In a show where fortunes often shift abruptly, where characters move between love and heartbreak in the span of a few episodes, this storyline resonates as a major turning point for all involved. The central moral remains: ambition unchecked can unravel personal bonds, but sincere regret and atonement can rebuild them. Carter's concession resets the power structure at Forrester Creations, but the personal fallout from Ridge's choice to return to Brooke after establishing a relationship with Taylor is far from concluded. Indeed, Taylor's tearful exit from LA cements the sense that no one escapes these events unscathed. Longtime fans will recall that Taylor has previously spent intervals away from Los Angeles, only to return at critical junctures. Should she come back one day, the stage might be set for yet another confrontation with Ridge and Brooke, or perhaps a brand new angle if she arrives with a changed outlook or new romantic interests. For now, though, she leaves behind a daughter, determined to confront her father about his disregard for Taylor's feelings. Steffi's allegiance to her mother remains unwavering, so watchers can brace for potential clashes between her and Brooke or even new alliances formed out of resentment for how things ended. With all of that said, the core developments remain straightforward. Carter's remorse leads him to hand Forrester Creations back to Ridge, a step that would not have happened without Brooke's influence. Ridge seizes this chance to rectify the chaos, but as he reunites with Brooke romantically, he wounds Taylor to the point that she decides to leave Los Angeles. Steffi, livid at the repeated pattern of her mother's pain, vows to never forgive Ridge. The Forrester family remains fractured. Carter struggles with the consequences of his earlier betrayal, and a new era of tension and alliances emerges within the show's tapestry of relationships. The echoes of these choices will reverberate through upcoming episodes. Will Carter fully regain everyone's trust, or will a sense of wariness linger, given the magnitude of his earlier betrayal? Will Hope align herself with a new vision for Forrester Creations, or might she attempt to salvage a bond with Carter, whose moral turnabout has likely damaged her aspirations for corporate expansion? As for Ridge and Brooke, is their rekindled love strong enough to withstand the pressure of Steffi's fury and the sorrow that lingers among those who sided with Taylor? Has Ridge truly reached the end of his back-and-forth saga, or will circumstances once again test his commitment to Brooke? The possibility of new crises is always on the horizon in The Bold and the Beautiful. In conclusion, the recent developments revolve around pivotal moments of regret, redemption, and the enduring power of love to both heal and harm. Carter, once buoyed by power and ambition, acknowledges the moral weight of his betrayal and redeems himself in the eyes of the Forresters by relinquishing his ill-gotten claim to Forrester Creations. Brooke's unwavering conviction and her heartfelt plea serve as the catalyst for Carter's transformation, while also reigniting her own long-time romance with Ridge. Ridge, torn between present commitments and his enduring emotional bond with Brooke, ultimately chooses Brooke, leaving Taylor heartbroken and spurring her decision to depart Los Angeles. Steffi's rage at seeing her mother cast aside yet again intensifies the emotional stakes, likely setting the stage for further tensions and conflicts in the Forrester family. This storyline underscores how every decision in the intertwined world of The Bold and the Beautiful can rupture or mend relationships, with repercussions that define the trajectory of the entire cast. Ultimately, the drama continues as these iconic characters wrestle with the consequences of love, loyalty, and the sometimes painful pursuit of happiness in a world where passions often run as high as the stakes of their storied fashion empire.